Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. And if you're watching this on the day this premieres, I don't have to say this because it's the third video for today, but it is my birthday. Yes, I turned 38 today, and well, I'm piggybacking off of Cody Leach. Cody Leach once again, he came up with a pretty good idea. It was one of his Patreon pick videos where it was gonna be his 25 or 20 childhood favorites, but he turned 35 because there were so many. And I see his problem because I'm doing 38, and even that was kind of hard for me to do. Um, but so yeah, childhood favorites. He did 35. I'm doing 38 because I'm turning 38. It still baffles me that he's younger than me somehow, but that is the truth. Unlike him, I do have some honorable mentions. Honorable. Honorable. Are you trying to say honorable? That's not in here. They're pretty much all Disney movies. Because Disney was a big part of my childhood. I watched a lot of Disney movies growing up. So these are the ones that stick out to me, really. Here's Disney. We have the first one up is a very underrated movie in my opinion. It is The Great Mouse Detective. I don't care what y'all say. This one is not bad. I don't get the hate. I think it's pretty good. I watch this one all the time. Homeward Bound. Incredible Journey. If you want a good cry, watch this movie. It's very good. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This came out during the Disney Renaissance. I say it like Ivan Ooze. I've had a Charlie horse since the Disney Renaissance. But the first one specifically. I watched the second one in a long time. But I still have that giant ass Quasimodo somewhere. But yeah. Sword and Stone, another absolute childhood favorite. I used to watch back to back with Robin Hood. Yes, very good movies. And The Jungle Book is a Disney classic, of course. Another one that I watched, Pinocchio. Pinocchio, and a shiny cover. Toy Story. Couldn't fit that on there. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one I was trying to figure out to put on the list because I did watch this a lot more than the others, but Hercules, and finally Peter Pan. My mom had a whole bunch. She was collecting a Disney VHS tapes for a while there, and don't scoot over, dude. And so we had those on hand to just borrow them and watch them whenever we wanted. So yes. So now we start the actual 38 childhood movies, which I'll be talking about a little more in depth than the honorable mentions. Okay. Coming at number 38 is the most recent review, something I've revisited for the first time since I was younger. I watched it twice. Stars Whoopi Goldberg. It's called Jumpin' Jack Flash. It's a gas. Yes. I had to find somewhere to put it on the list. And after watching it, I was like, I gotta put it on the list. I grew up with it. So it's number 38. What this is, Whoopi Goldberg plays a computerist at a bank who gets messages from a secret agent and is roped into this world of being a spy, and it goes really out of hand. It's really goofy, and Whoopi Goldberg's really good in it. And upon a rewatch, you guys will already see my review, but I really enjoyed it. It baffled me the kind of movies I was allowed to watch back then, but I don't think this was the worst. There's no nudity in this, unlike Beverly Hills Cop, so Next, we have. Hold on. I'm gonna move these because it's not the right way. We have. So the '90s was littered with environmental movies, And one of those such movies I watched a lot, was Once Upon a Forest, starring Michael. Rheumatism. Doesn't say. But this is. Is it weird, or does the little skunk look weird. The face looks off to me. I don't know. It's the animation. So what this is focuses on three furlings who there was an accident which causes some toxic gas to be leaked around some woods. So yeah, so the three furlings have to go on a journey. Not the grown up, not the grown up. He's gonna stay behind with a rheumatism and the little girl to get a cure for the little girl, the poison. Nice little a lot. A lot of movies back then also had we're gonna go on a journey. American Tail, which we'll touch on later, had that sort of thing where it's going on a journey. But yeah, number 36 is going to be Treasure Island. I already said this in my review back in Disney December. This is one of my favorite stories, to read and stuff, pirates and all that. And, do I need to tell you what this movie is? Do I know really? So the story of this movie is, it's Treasure Island. Jim Hawkins working at the inn. When someone comes in with a black spot, he gets hit with a black spot. They say, "Beware the one-legged man or the man with the peg leg." And it turns out that this guy, Billy Bones, gave Jim a map, and he takes it to the squire and the doctor, and they set up a trip to find this place, supposedly Treasure Island. And it turns out there is a peg-legged man named Long John Silver, and he's secretly a pirate, and yeah. You know the story. Do I have to go? This is a classic Disney movie. I like to rewatch it a lot when I was a kid. I had it on VHS with the copyright thing, so it went in and out of weird colors. But it was, Number 35 is going to be the first instance of Don Bluth on this, but not the last of Don Bluth on this list, and that is All Dogs Go to Heaven. A very surprisingly dark movie. Ignore the second one. The second one's fine, but like all sequels to the dark movies, they try to go lighter, and it doesn't really work. Charlie Barkin, voiced by Burt Reynolds, is a dog who gets in a lot of trouble, and he incurs the wrath of another dog named Carface, who gets him murdered, basically. And he goes to heaven, but then finds out that his friend Itchy is in danger, and his little girl is also in danger, so he goes back to Earth to help. And once you go, you can never come back, and there's a lot of other things. This also has the originator of the Big Lip Alligator moment, with the random song towards the climax of the film that feels like they just needed to add a song in there. But yeah, great film. Alright, now it's the first time for Disney to be on this list. No, it's not. Number 34 is The Nutcracker Prince. Actually, it's one I don't have physically. But Nutcracker Prince basically tells the story of the Nutcracker. You know the story. His brother and sister are brought this castle by their uncle Drosselmeyer. And he tells the story of the Rat King. There was a Rat Queen, the Rat King's mother. She died during a fight, during a battle where the rats were trying to go against this king and his wife who wanted blue cheese cake. That's in the movie. It's blue cheese. Even the characters go, blue cheese cake. And the Nutcracker Nutcracker, who is like a prince of sorts, is turned into a Nutcracker. He's Drosselmeyer's nephew in this story. Turned to a Nutcracker, and now the castle is there, and the Rat King is back. There's some weird magic that happens, and Clara is thrust into this world with the Nutcracker, and yeah, it's a fun little cartoon. Always like to watch it. I guess you could call it a Christmas movie because Nutcracker, and there is a Christmas scene in it. but I never felt obligated to watch it around Christmas, which is weird because I watched a lot of other Christmas specials, Frosty Rudolph, A Wish for Wings That Work, which I hope I can review that at some point. Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, there was a lot of them that I watched. The one, the Magic Elf and the Magic Key, and then the other one, Save Christmas. Yeah, those ones. The Christmas Tree, which is me. But yeah, Garfield Christmas. Boop boop beedoo boop boop beedoo. Yeah, that never. This was never a Christmas watch. I watched it all the other times. So, yeah. Now we got our first instance of Disney on this list. There wasn't an honorable mention. Honorable mention. It is The Rescuers. Down Under. Yes, I do not care for the original. Big LT feels the other way. But The Rescuers Down Under to me, I don't know what it was. It feels like, why is a little girl blonde on this cover? She's redhead. Well, here it's brown. But look, here, clearly, maybe it's the light going off. She looks blonde there, but she's got brown hair in the front. And that's not what we're talking about. Talk about The Rescuers Down Under, which is by far the better one. There wasn't very many musical sequences in the first one. I don't think there's a couple, maybe. But they dropped all those. They make it more action-orientated. It's in Australia, Mike. And I want to talk about people who complain that Cody doesn't have an Australian accent. Yes, he does. It's just very light. You got to pay attention. And you also get one of the great, I don't care what you say, greatest or underrated Disney villains, McLeish. You get a line, I get a pole. Ha ha ha. Ho ho ho. Voiced by the great George C. Scott. Yeah. It's great. That's not Winnie the Pooh. Bill put this deleted song. If anything, the only song that I like from the first one is that RESCUE, Rescue Aid Society. That one, but yeah. Alright, we have next number 32, The Land Before Time. And I didn't even explain what The Rescuers Down Under was. The Rescuers Down Under is a sequel to The Rescuers. And it takes them down to, never mind. The Land Before Time follows a group of dinosaurs who are separated from their families and they then have to travel to find them. And to its credit, and I've said this before, I said it in my review, I've said it when talking about this movie is only an hour and 9 minutes. So it knew not to overextend the runtime. Because a lot of time, movies where you have people, again, much like Once Upon a Forest, making journeys across places, it gets long in the tooth. And Once Upon a Forest is 71 minutes. So that's an hour and 11 minutes. So, they make them short. They don't waste time with them. And that works for this one as well. Especially since, you get the Scarface. No, that's Land of the Lost. Sharptooth, which is a T-Rex. And going after them. Yeah, they're sort of like a little family. Littlefoot loses his mom, but he has to get back to his grandparents in the Great Valley, and he's trying to protect the tree flower, the tree, whatever, the tree star. Yeah, it's him. Okay, back to Disney again with Honey, Me Shrunk the Kids. Yes, this is one I watched all the time. I also like the sequel, but that one was one where it's like, oh, I watch it when it's on. Usually it was on cable channels, like HBO Family or Flicks or something like that. They play it, But stars Rick Moranis as Wayne Szalinski, who creates the shrinking machine. It has an overheating problem, but one day the kids are playing baseball. Neighbor kids are playing baseball and actually knock the baseball through the attic window, which hits the machine. And when the kids go to investigate, all 4 of them get shrunk. So now, and again, it's another long journey movie that they did back then, but they're only actually trying to get across the lawn. That's it. Get across the lawn. But it feels like a giant forest because of how well it is. And the effects in this are really done. I don't see on here what it's done. It's probably Screaming Mad George, because this movie was written story by Stuart Gordon and Brian Yuzna, that old son of a bitch. And I thought they were producers too, but I guess not. Joe Johnston directed it, and to me, Joe Johnston's a pretty good director. He did this, he did The Rocketeer, Captain America: The First Avengers, not bad. So, and say what you want to say about Jurassic Park 3, but that movie's not that bad either. Come on. But, yeah. Now we got a Disney adjacent. Sort of. It's not really. But it felt like Disney could have made a movie about this. It's The Swan Princess at number 30. So the story is basically Swan Lake. Odette is a princess. Princess Odette and Prince Derek are basically forced to meet up every summer from being kids all the way to young adults. So that eventually they think they might get married. Eventually that does happen, but Odette says no because Derek only cares about personal appearances, so she leaves. However, her father, the king, has a enemy named Rothbart. Yes, that is his name, Rothbart, who kidnaps Odette and puts a spell on her to turn her into a swan during the day until the moon shines on her. So it's not even at night that she changes back, it's only when the moon is on her. So now Derek is on a quest to figure out what happened to her and get her back, and it's one of the it's very like I said, it takes the Disney template. I feel like Disney could have made this movie if they wanted to. It's one of the movies that got away from them, maybe, I don't know, like Chanticleer, which we'll discuss later. But yeah, I think it's very well done. The animation is actually pretty good for 1994. No, it says 2009, which is not when the movie came out. They made 94. They made two sequels that I feel connect to this very well. The two hand-drawn ones. And they made a bunch of computer animated ones that I have never seen and don't consider canon, just because I feel like the third one had a good enough ending for it. But number 29, and it's not that. It's Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, which is the non-sequel to the original Pinocchio. And when I say non-sequel, it's because, well, Filmation did a thing, twice maybe, where they did sequels to Disney movies. They did Happily Ever After, which is not on this list. But they also did this one. Happily Ever After was a pseudo-sequel to Snow White. This one, pseudo-sequel to Pinocchio. Pinocchio has now been living with Geppetto as a real boy for a year. And a new circus arrives in town, which leads him to a new puppeteer who turns her back into a puppet and will eventually lead him. He gets Jiminy Cricket is copyrighted by Disney, so he gets a glowworm named G. Willikers, who becomes the new Jiminy Cricket to help him out. And eventually leads him to a face-off with this Emperor of the Night, who, even after all these years, I don't understand his motivation. He just wants to turn people into puppets or something. But it is very well done, scary. Is it Tim Curry, I think, is the voice? Or is it James Earl Jones? All yours. I think Tim Curry is the voice of Puppetino. So I think it might be James Earl Jones, now I think about it. There's some other good voices too. Ed Asner as the raccoon. Frank Welker as the monkey. Baboon, whatever he's supposed to be. But, yeah. Now we go to this. Number 28 is Fern Gully, another environmental film. But this one, more so than the other one, is the one that I gravitated towards. As I will say in my review, this is not really a spoiler, but it was another one of those where I watched it on. It was a copyrighted one, and it was all weird and wiggly. No wonder my eyesight's so bad. But yeah, it's a fun little film. Environmentally, I never saw the sequel because it didn't have Zach in it, but I'm gonna have to pop that one in for the sequel-a-thon eventually. But music by Alan Silvestri. Didn't catch that in my review. But yeah, what it is it takes place in a rainforest, and a guy named Zach is accidentally struck down by a fairy named Krista, and begins to realize how important the environment is, just as an age-old enemy of the fairies named Hexus is accidentally freed by Zach's little logging buddies in the logging machine, and now they have to try to take down Hexus. Hexus, of course, voiced by Tim Curry. So, yeah. Oh boy, is this going to be a big explanation. Number 27. Pippi Longstocking's coming into your town. Yes. The New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking. I never heard of Pippi Longstocking before this one. This was the one I grew up watching at a VHS tape. We constantly watch it. What it is Pippi she steal a pirate hat. She lives on a pirate ship where her father was like a pirate king or something. And if I remember correctly, I can't read this because this is a printed off cover, because this came in a collection with Matilda, and I just wanted this by itself, so I made a cover. I cannot read this thing, it's all blurry, but I think there's some kind of attack where the ship seems to sink, and so, or they get separated. She gets separated with the horse and the monkey, and for some reason he can't turn around, or some shit, I don't remember. So she goes to a place called the Villa Vellicula, which is the name of the house, and meets the neighbor kids, Tommy and Annika, forms a friendship with them. She's also a kid, so, so it's not weird. But, yeah, and just her trials and tribulations, really. I guess you could split these up into stories. There's one where she's living next door, and it's kind of weird, and then there's one where they run away, and then she's sent to a boarding school thing, and there's a fire, I guess. It's been a long time since I've actually sat and watched this, but it was always fun for me to watch when I was younger, so. Alright. Now this next one could be automatic, boom, systematic, boom, hydromatic, boom. Why, it could be Grease Lightning. Overhead, there's a fall back. Wow, so yeah. Keep talking, war, keep talking. Yeah, number 26 is Grease. Introduced to this by my mom. To this day, my mom will still put it on whenever it's on TV. It's one of, it's one of those movies you do that. I have the Blu-ray, but it's with the other two. This was my mom's DVD copy, actually, that I grabbed when I left the house. It says Volume 4 because I had the individual copies of the Spider-Man New Animated Series, and I had to write down which volume was which. Although it didn't really matter because their episodes were out of order anyway, so it didn't really help. But I just never replaced the case. The other case got busted because I stepped on it, but it's okay. It's in here now. What can I say about Grease? What is Grease? Do I need to explain Grease to you people? Okay, so two 30-year-olds playing teenagers meet each other over summer break, and then the Australian girl, Sandy, says she's going to go back home to Australia, but it turns out, no, she ended up staying. And so then Mr. Danny Zuko here decides that his reputation means more to him than the love of a woman, so he acts like an asshole, and that's really the only reason why the movie is as long as it is, because they can't get together right away. So he has to be a jerk, and then they sort of get together, and things happen, and then Sonny betrays him for no reason. It's never explained, and he's never mad at him. But it's a great movie. And I also like the second one. Shut up to all you who this Grease 2. It's not that bad. So number 25 is the first one, in which I am cheating because it is all three Mighty Ducks movies. So here's a personal story from me. My grandparents on my dad's side, who they live in Iowa and eventually Colorado, which I believe they still live. They would send me videotapes that they recorded from one tape to another. All these didn't have any problems. And so what they sent me on one of the tapes had Mighty Ducks and the D2 of the Mighty Ducks. And me and my mom's first husband were watching through them. We watched the first one. We had not watched the second one. This is around the time in 96 when this one was coming out. So we had watched the first one, but not the second one yet. And we went straight to watching this one because we rented it and I had it for a little bit of time. So going straight from 1 to 3, obviously it was confusing. I'm like, why is Kenan here? What? Who are these other people? Huh? Yeah, they traded. They technically traded one All That cast member for another, even though Denton really wasn't part of that cast. And I could see when doing this, maybe he was doing Pete at the time. What is this, 94? This is 93, so this is 95. I don't know. But all three of these have a special place in my heart growing up. If you don't know, the first one is Gordon Bombay is a former hockey player, former youth hockey player who becomes a lawyer because he missed a shot. His dad passes away, becomes a lawyer, but then he decides to drive drunk. He's a lawyer. I think you know better than that. He decides to drive drunk, and he gets reprimanded and do community service by coaching a youth hockey team. They form a bond in the end, and everything goes great. Then in the second one, Gordon Bombay tries to be a hockey player again, but gets injured and is sent back to Minnesota, which is why I like this so much, to place in Minnesota. I've actually been by the diner that Charlie's mom works in. I've driven by it on various field trips. It's pretty cool. And so now he's tasked with coaching Team USA Hockey. And so it brings the Ducks with the new ones, which explains the new characters from the third one that I didn't know. And yeah, it's pretty fun. Which I actually kind of prefer this one to the first one, actually. And then in the third one, Bombay says bye as they all go to a is it a boarding school? It's not a boarding school because they're still living at the Raider house. It's like an academy of sorts. They're all going to that now in high school, which I thought was college at first when I was a kid. I'm like, they're too young at high school. And it's basically Charlie's now the main character instead of Bombay, although Bombay does come back, spoiler alert. But yeah, all three of these very good. The third one is like my least favorite, but it's still not bad. All right, number 24, The Chipmunk Adventure. So Chipmunk Adventure follows the Chipmunks. So what it is that the Chipmunk, Dave is going on a vacation, and he leaves Miss Miller in charge of the Chipmunks. Because that always works out. Well, one day when the Chipmunks and the Chipettes are playing arcade games, which are very similar to what they do in real life, in the movie anyway, these two brother and sister duo, it's not so much diamond smugglers, not drug smugglers, diamond smugglers named Klaus und Claudia, and Sophie, the little Pomeranian poodle thing. They task the kids with running the diamonds. One set will exchange the diamonds for cash, and one side is doing the opposite or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's a smuggling movie disguised as a kid movie. There's musical sequences. We are the girls of rock and roll. Yeah, it's the Chipmunks. This is my favorite Chipmunk thing ever. And I don't hate the live action ones. I'm gonna have to do those eventually, but I don't hate them. But yeah. All right, the stack is getting bigger. So number 23 is Hocus Pocus from Disney. This begins a long little string of Disney. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in a row of Disney movies here. So we have Hocus Pocus, which is something I grew up with. We all did in the 90s. Yes, 93 as well. So the story here is there were 3 witches back in the olden days who put a curse on a black flame candle that when a virgin lights it, yes, Disney movie said virgin, but it's okay because at the time I thought virgin meant you were from Virginia. I'm dead serious. I even asked my mom one time, am I a virgin? Huh? Yeah, am I from Virginia? She's like, that's not what that means. But anyway, some of the shit I was allowed to watch. In 1993, a virgin lights the candle and brings the witches back. So they go cause havoc, or we just do fish out of water things, I guess. But it is fun. This was one of two movies that when my cousins came up from Iowa, we had to watch. It was this and another one which I'll be talking about later. But this was always fun to watch, and I love it to this day. Number 22 is a Goofy movie. Yes, it's kind of low. I think Cody had this as number 1. But I have way a lot more to talk about than this. So, number 22 is a Goofy movie. It's basically a sequel to a Goof Troop, which we always stick together. So, Max wants to be popular before his school break and impress a girl that he likes, and he does, but because Mr. Principal Mays called Goofy and basically overreacted and said that his son's gonna go into prison, Goofy decides we're gonna go on a trip, and involuntarily, or Max is involuntarily taken on this trip he doesn't want to go on, but he gets closer with his dad and has to reveal the truth. It's very fun, nice musical sequences. I also did a review for this, and I did a review for the sequel, which is not as good, but it's fine, for what it is. I'm way number 21. Number 21 is Pete's Dragon, the original. It's another one I watched all the time. I wish this was higher. So the story with this one, if you don't know, get out, because you got to watch this. Pete is a homeless kid living in the woods with his invisible dragon, running from his adopted family. They bought him. I guess you can sell kids at this point in time. That's never been legal to my knowledge. But anyway, because they got a bill of sale and they'll sing about it. God damn it. So he and Pete he's Pete. He and his dragon Elliot are running from the Gogans, this family of hillbillies who never take showers, because honestly they don't. And they end up in the town of Passamaquoddy, where he comes across a woman named Nora and her father Lampy, played by the late great Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, that fat grandma, that heartthrob, Mickey Rooney. Woo. What? No, I don't know why I started doing that voice when I said Mickey Rooney. But Red Buttons and Jindale, Shelley Winters. It's a fun movie. It's one of those classic Disney movies that combines real life action with animated stuff. It's really cool. I love what they do with Elliot. Pretty cool. Yeah. Number 20. Boom, 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 sub. Step 2. She have a locomotion, mystic power that's far beyond the wildest notion. Okay. It's Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, which I watched a lot. Now, there are two versions of this movie. On the Blu-ray and the regular DVD version that came with this, it has the regular version of the movie. But I bought a DVD version back in the early 2000s that has the 30th anniversary edition. This one is the nothing. There's nothing. 30th anniversary edition. And this one came with an extended version of the film with deleted scenes that were taken out. All except for the sequence. After all, it's a step in the right direction. They did animate it, but they didn't film anything, so they couldn't. Is it animated or is there stills? I guess. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of people will say just watch the regular version, but which I will recommend too. But there's something about the extended version that 139 minutes extended version. 117 minutes, the regular version. Yeah. Realized it was that big of a difference. Well, the story here is that this takes place during World War II, during the London bombings, and three children, two brothers and a sister, are like other children at the time were homeless. So Miss Price, played by Angela Lansbury, is tasked with taking them in, and it turns out she's an apprentice witch, and they figure this out. But the spell that she's waiting for, the substitutionary locomotion spell, is not coming because the professor, Emilius Brown, played by the late, great David Tomlinson. I looked, but I didn't. I remember before I even saw his name. Has discontinued her school, and it turns out that it's because the book he has is incomplete. So now they got to find the rest of the book to get the spell, and it's a fun little romp. Much like Pete's Dragon, it does combine live action animation, but not as much as Pete's Dragon. Well, you had the dragon throughout the movie. There's only like one little part in the film where they go to the island of Nabumbu. Nabumbu. I did Nabumbu. I just want Nabumbu. I did Nabumbu. I just said it like that. It was weird. The island of Nabumbu. Nabumbu. Things are so ridiculous, man. That has the animation and live action stuff, and it's different than Pete's Dragon because it's more, instead of animation with live action, it's live action around animation. Like they got like it's like a, I don't know, a blue screen type thing and animation around them. But yeah. And then we have number 19, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. My personal favorite Scooby-Doo movie. Those of you might wonder why there's not more Scooby-Doo movies on here. Well, there's a lot of stuff. And this was 98. I was 11. And Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island makes it where the monsters are real. Even though they're already doing it on the show before this. But what it is this is canonically, after all of the other shows and stuff that has happened, Mystery Inc. has retired. And Daphne is now a TV host. And so Fred, seeing that Daphne misses all this stuff, gets the gang back together to go on another hunt, and they end up on this island in the bayous of Nolans, where there are zombies. But there is a twist, which I'm not going to spoil here. Watch the movie or watch my review. It is fun, and this is still fantastic to this day. The music, the animation, it's great. Okay, hold on. I need to switch. So let's take this stack. We are now in the top 18 now. 18. There we go. 18. All right. So number 18 is going to be... So I see Zordon is still using kids to do his dirty work. Well, meet my kids. It's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I did a revisited review. Actually, today, this revisited review came out earlier today. I don't know I did that. So it's out today. Check that out. I went to the theater to see this. I said that in my review. I still remember standing outside the place with my mom. I had the VHS. I watched it constantly. I love this. I wish I had the CD, but I didn't. Or cassette tape, as it was at the time, before I had CDs. But I'm not going to explain this movie to you. Watch my review. Either of them. You know what Power Rangers is. So, number 17. Rock-a-Doodle. And my personal favorite Don Bluth movie. The other one I'm going to talk about doesn't count. It's a sequel that wasn't to a Don Bluth movie that wasn't directed by him. But yeah, this is the story of Chanticleer, which was originally in the works for Disney. But Disney never got around to it. The idea was taken to Don Bluth, or Don Bluth took the idea with him, one of the two, and he did it for MGM and Universal. This is MGM, so yeah. I think the VHS was Universal. I don't know. And the story here is that Chanticleer is a rooster who every day he will crow, singing a song, and the sun will come up. Well, one day the Grand Duke of Owls, I do, the Grand Duke of ours, shows up, sending one of his goons to fight Chanticleer. It takes so long that the son seems to come up without him. And the members of the farm shun Chanticleer from the farm. He leaves, but it turns out that didn't fix the son, and they don't. It starts going back down as Chanticleer is leaving, and they don't run to apologize right away because it's a movie. This is a story told to a kid named Edmund, who is dealing with an endless storm, as it seems, and he trains for Chanticleer, but gets the Grand Duke, who turns him into an animated kitty cat. And now he and Chanticleer's friends have to go find Chanticleer in the big city and save just get him to grow so that the sun will come up, I guess. I was going to say save the world, but that's not. All right, number 16 is Big. This is a movie starring Tom Hanks, who plays Josh Baskin. I went to school with a guy named Patrick Baskin. That's why it messes me up. So, Josh Baskin, he's this kid. He's played by David Moscow from Newsies, which is not on this list because I didn't watch it enough growing up. But I watched this one a lot. So, he is short. So, he wishes on his Zoltar machine at a carnival to be big. And when he wakes up the next day, he's a full-fledged adult, which is not what he means. He tries to go back, but everything is taken down overnight bullshit. No way. And just, it's taken down that quickly. There's no way. But anyway, now he doesn't know what to do. His mom doesn't know who he is. He's on his own. He and his buddy Billy, he checks into the big city. He starts working for this toy company. He meets a woman. He begins an adult life, basically. And when it starts out trying to find a Zoltar machine, it kind of gets away from it. And it's a nice, fun little comedy. It's, Tom Hanks is really good at playing an adult with a kid's mind, so it works. The only other person I think would work for the job, Robin Williams, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So, Hook. I should have put Hook on this list. Make Hook an honorable mention, because, damn. Mrs. Doubtfire is also an honorable mention, but I watched Hook a lot more, and it's not on this list because one of his movies was more important. Well, technically two, but so we have, where the hell are we? Number 15, not 12, 15, Crocodile Dundee. So Crocodile Dundee tells the story of Mick Dundee, an outback hunter of sorts, sort of. And a reporter comes to check him out in more ways than one. And he ends up, named Sue Charlton. He ends up going to the big city, and it's sort of a romance type thing, but it's kind of fun. The second one is also pretty good, but the first one is the one I watched all the time. My grandma had both taped from HBO, so. Number 14 is the first and only Disney Channel original movie. I wanted more, but this was the most important. It's Brink. And I hate that it's so high up on this list at number 14. Brink basically tells the story of Andy Brinker, who is part of a group of 4 skaters who skate for fun, not for money. But his dad is currently battling back problems and doesn't have his job. So he wants to help out with the family. And so when a spot on the sponsored sports skate team X-Blades, it gets open, he jumps into the spot, which does not sit well with his friends, but this has always been fun. Music, the acting is just fun. It's pure 90s. I mean, this is 98, so this is the height of the 90s. It's just 90s. The clothes, the hair, the way they talk, the attitude, yeah. Number 13 is Mary Poppins, y'all. This, yeah. Wait, Becoming Mr. Becoming Mr. Sherman. There. I don't know. So Mary Poppins. Do I have to say what this is? These two kids, they keep running out of the nannies, so they write up a thing for a new nanny, and who should come but Mary Poppins, who is practically perfect in every way. And with Mary Poppins, it's not just about helping out the kids. She might also be there to help out the adults as well. And it's a fun little film, music, and animation, and all the fun you ever need. And I watched this a million times as a kid. It was one of the first DVDs that I bought when they announced the anniversary DVD. I went out there and I found that fucker. I was like, I'm getting it. And then the Blu-ray, I saw this at Walmart. I'm like, hell yeah! In the middle of a Walmart, but yeah. Number 12 is Aladdin. No, this one, this Aladdin, which I wish I would have seen in the theaters instead of the new one. But you don't know what Aladdin is, get them out again, because Aladdin is a classic Disney film. It's just weird to say because it was from the 90s, but it is. The music, the animation, Robin Williams' performance, everything is just fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, why the hell not? All right, Robin Williams is back again because number 11 is Jumanji. Based on a book, which I read the book growing up. It was different from this, but it tells the story of Alan Parrish, a kid who finds this board game in an old construction site, and he and his friend Sarah play the game, but he gets set into the jungle. He must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. And then, this is in 1969, so in 1995, he is freed by two kids who are now playing the game and must re-recruit Sarah to finish the game so everything can be fixed. And it's a fun movie. Again, Robin Williams' performance is great. It's a fantastic film. Number 10. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. It's My Girl, which I wish I had a single edition of this. The second one's not bad, but I'm never going to watch it again. I watched it like 3 times in my life, and I've already did a review. I'm not going to revisit that. No way. My Girl tells the story of Veda, and it's basically Veda Sultanfuss. There's a name for you. It's basically she's growing up. She's dealing with puberty and the fact that her dad is going to get married, and then he's dating again, and learning about stuff, learning about her own love, and then there's Macaulay Culkin and the Bees. If you know, you know. Traumatizing as all hell. But speaking of traumatizing, how about you're in a relationship and you're a sculptor, he's a banker, he's an investment banker. One day you go out on a date and someone tries to mug you for your wallet, but then he gets shot and dies, and now he's a ghost. That's a long way to go for that, but yes, Ghost is number 9. And I basically told you what it's about. This, I don't know why, but this movie overall, I don't know. I watched it a lot. It's an adult movie. It's PG-13. Right? 1990 when it came out. And it's just, it's dark. But I think that's why I like it, because I would grow up to be a horror fan. And this speaks to the horror fan in me, because when those names come for Carl and, was it Reggie? Is the other guy's name? That is some dark. Who directed this? Jerry Zucker. I don't know. But, that's some dark imagery. You know what I mean? Just the sound when it comes at him. Yeah. And even Carl's death is kind of vicious, even though we don't really see it. He's been smashed by this broken window. So, yeah. Number 8. E.T. And again, do I need to explain this one? It's E-fucking-T. It's not Bruce Springsteen. Steven Spielberg. There it is. Steven Spielberg directed I wanted to put Jurassic Park, but I didn't watch it as much as this one. I still have the VHS tape somewhere. But yeah, kid finds an alien in his backyard. Then you have the government chasing after him. It's a great film. It's a great film. Number 7 is An American Tail. 5 Goes West. And it was not directed. It was directed by Phil Niblink and Simon Wells. 2 people. So, after the heels of the first one, they are now living in America where there is cats, even though they said there was no cats in America. Now they decided to go out to the Old West because they're also told there are no cats out there, or that there are cats, but they're friendly cats. But it's a trap by the villain Cat R. Wall, who is going to turn them into mice burgers. And so now 5 he gets separated from his family, but only temporarily. It's not as long as the first one because they didn't want to repeat that shit. 5 has to try to save them while recruiting a Old West dog named Wiley Burp, voiced by, in the last voice performance by Jimmy Stewart, to help save them, along with his cat friend Tiger, who now has to be more of a dog, because that's what his girlfriend said. I don't know. Do the lazy eye. Anyway, number 6. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, put on the potatoes. Yeah, this is my favorite, and I still say it's the best. Yes, Willie's annoying. So what? It's still my favorite. It's fun. Boil the rum. I'll see you in hell. This is one of the movies that single-handedly invented the PG-13 rating, specifically for the bug scene. They chilled a monkey brains. I mean the dinner scene, not bug scene. Chilled a monkey brains. I remember the first time I showed this to my son. He started seeing. He's like, "Would you eat that?" No. Number 5 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one. And I grew up with all 3, but the first one was the only one that I had on hand to watch. So it wasn't until later when I got the DVDs that I was able to watch all 3 of them. So the first one's the one I watched the most. And again, do I need to explain Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to you? I don't think so. This was my childhood. I had the toys, I had the shirts, the bedspreads, blankets, everything you can do in Ninja Turtles. It was everywhere, right? I still have toys thanks to my friend Brandon. Sold them to me. But, yeah, it's Ninja Turtles. It's goofy, but it's fun. Ninja kick the damn rabbit. I love that. And another one which I am cheating. Number 4 was originally just going to be Star Wars. Actually, it's Star Wars. Shut up! It's Star Wars. A New Hope. Star Wars. But it's actually all 3 of the original Star Wars movies. Because I had the VHS tapes recorded from the USA Network, and I would watch them constantly. And then my mom's first husband bought that collection you see back there. And we had those as the new one was coming out in 99. So we had them on hand. And I would watch Star Wars constantly. My favorite is still the first one. And I also really like Return of the Jedi. My least favorite, which seems to be everybody else's favorite, is Empire Strikes Back. Least favorite of these 3, by the way. Not all of them, of these 3. I still put it up there. It's still number 3, people. It's still in the top 5 of the Star Wars movies. But I don't know. People think that the reason why I like so much is the dark ending. That's one of the reasons I don't particularly care for it. But it's fun to watch. But yeah. Now these top 3 are probably the 3 most obvious ones if you know me. And if you don't, then get the out. No, I'm just kidding. So, number 3 is Batman. Yes, of course. Number 3 is Batman, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson. I had this. I had Batman Returns as well. But I wanted to just have this one on here. I could have included Batman Begins. Or Batman Returns, excuse me. But this was one I watched all the time. I love Batman. It's great. One of Tim Burton's best. And then we have number 2, Child's Play. Yes. You guys are just wondering when this was going to show up. You should have known it was at the top, because this is one of my first. Chucky's my favorite horror franchise. I'll say it. It is. Michael is number 3. Number 3, then what the hell is Freddy? Freddy's number 2. Strictly because that's really how I found them. Really, well, Jason would have been number 3, but Michael has climbed up for reasons. But I found Chucky first, then I found Freddy, and it was between Michael and Jason on TV that I found, but I've gravitated more towards Michael. But yeah, you know this one. A serial killer transfers his soul into a doll via voodoo, and now is dealing with this kid, but finds out that the kid's the only one that he can transfer his soul to, because we need a reason for him to have a climax against the kid. That sounds wrong. For him to go back and chase down the kid, we need a reason for that. So, yeah. And number 1, it's another cheat, but I had to put both of them in because I couldn't watch one without the other. It was always back to back every time. The original 2 Bill and Ted movies. They are most excellent. Again, do I need to explain? These are Bill, Ted Excellent Adventure is my favorite movie of all time, so you know what's going to be in there. And I still to this day cannot watch one without watching the other. The third one is optional. It's fine, but if I have a day where I'm going to pop in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and when I'm done, I'll go, unless it's late enough where it's time for me to go to bed, I'll go, let's put the other one on, especially since they're on the same disc. I want to get that new collection they have with all 3 that the Shout Factory has as all 3, and they have all 3 on 4K and all 3 on Blu-ray, so I can still watch the Blu-ray ones until I get the 4K TV and stuff. But there you have it. This took an hour almost. My 38 personal favorite movies growing up. Childhood favorites. That's what it was. So thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. What are your let me know your top 10. You guys never do what I ask you to, but that's fine. Let me know your top 10 childhood favorites in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.